Natalie from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Saturday, August 21st. So the moon is in Aquarius all day. We are building towards the full moon in Aquarius tomorrow, which means that things are very intense, are very bright in our face. We are getting a lot of downloads, a lot of inspiration, a lot of new aha moments. There are 8 different aspects taking place today, and 7 of them include the moon. Again, let's just remind ourselves that the moon in Aquarius is very detached emotionally, can look matter of fact, and has a great ability to look at the bigger, greater, grander picture and vision in the future. The Aquarian energy is very progressive, very innovative, coming up with solutions to long-standing problems, and very much the rebellious warrior that we need to define what it is that we need to be free, what it is that we need to feel totally disconnected from the roles, from the responsibilities that have been sucking the life right out of us. So, the moon, right out of the gate, is going to sextile Chiron, the wounded healer. This is a beautiful opportunity for us to recognize where it is that emotions get really intense, that emotions are really intense. And lucky for us, we're able to jump into our mental plane, into our psyche, and figure out why these emotions are triggering us in the way that they are. This is going to lead us to an aha moment, connecting the dots to past patterns and behaviors, to current triggers, and to current choice points on whether or not we are going to continue with the old systems, the old cycles, or whether or not we are willing to try something new. At this particular aha moment, we integrate new wisdom, we integrate new information. Suddenly we see the divide between our heart and our head, and we squish them together so that we can operate from a whole power, a whole source. The moon goes ahead and bumps into Mars, who is in Virgo. And this is a little bit of a tension point because, as we know, Mars is frustrated. He's highly irritable. He's super restless. He wants to take action, but he's not quite ready to do so. This provides us with a little bit of anger, a little bit of frustration, providing us with an opportunity to learn. What are we going to learn? We are going to learn whether or not we are willing to act on our feelings, lash out, and kind of rewrite the same old storyline that we've been living, or whether or not we are going to act as the observer and funnel all of this highly intense, irritable, frustrated, moody kind of energy into something productive. Again, yard work, housework, something productive that makes us feel good, that makes us feel organized, that makes us feel prepared to jump into something new when we are given the green light go ahead to do so. This is going to create the inner conflict, though, between the old and the new. Are we going to act out of frustration, reacting from ego, reacting from past patterns and behaviors, or are we going to act as the observer, attaching to our higher self and trying something new? The moon goes ahead and squares Uranus. This is super interesting. First of all, a square is a tension point. It's a crisis point. Second interesting thing, Uranus rules over the moon in Aquarian energy. Third interesting point, Uranus is still getting used to being in retrograde. There's a lot of inner workings, inner reprocessing going on. And right now, we, instead of expressing ourselves outwardly, are trying to get along with ourselves inside of us. We need to hone in on what it is that we actually need in life. What do we need to feel safe? What do we need to feel secure? What do we need to feel free? What do we need to feel loved? What do we need to feel taken care of? What do we need to feel in order to feel like we have meaning and purpose? So this kind of creates a little bit of disruption because that's a lot of questions to be asking, especially in the full moon. And most likely what's going to happen is we're going to get hella chaotic inside of our headspace. We are going to be so confused. We don't know what's going on. We feel everything, but yet we feel nothing. We feel wants, needs, and desires, but yet we feel numb. We don't know what's going on. We have a hard time identifying what it is that we want and what it is that we need. And so what we find is that we detach and disassociate so much so that we become numb and cold. Caution here, especially in the full moon window, we are being illuminated to things that do not feel good in order for us to recognize how to correct that, how to resolve them. And you best believe it does not feel good to feel chaotic and crazy and uncertain of what it is that we need to feel happy and meaning and purpose and love. So what do? We tend to shut down. The moon in Aquarius goes ahead and bumps into Mercury, who is in its place of power in Virgo. And Mercury wants to solve this problem, wants to answer these questions, wants to hone in on the details so that we can determine what it is that we do need so that we can get out of this funk. This is a huge opportunity for us to learn about ourselves as long as we don't disassociate enough where we can't connect to our higher realm, to our mind, to our heart space. There is a certain aspect here that could trigger us to speak and express ourselves outwardly in our personal relationships. Caution though, it's likely going to be spitting verbal vomit from our old self. It is not speaking from our higher self, from our evolved self. We are so disassociated and so detached that we tend to kind of take 2 steps back in our devolvement, moving back to a space where we acted out of anger, we spoke out of turn, we lashed out and projected our insecurities, our chaos, our confusion onto other people. So I would advise that if you're feeling this particular energy where you want to speak out in a personal relationship and you're not doing it from your higher self, recognizing within yourself that the fears and insecurities and uncertainty of all of those questions that you can't answer are getting to you, I would say keep those lips shut. We are in a full moon energy here, which means we have to be very careful with how we allow this energy to manifest. The moon in Aquarius goes ahead and bumps into Venus in Libra. And like we discussed, Venus in Libra had a good day yesterday, but again, Libran energy is about balancing the scales. So if we had a good day yesterday, it's likely we're not going to have such a stable day today. That's exactly what's being illuminated for us. Just when we thought we were finding peace in the chaos, when we were finding comfort in the confusion, when it was okay to not know, now there's this overwhelming want, need, and desire to know, to decide, to choose. This confused state that we're now in about our wants, needs, and desires are adding to the emotional confusion of what it is that we need to feel safe and secure in a loving relationship. Just like I said, those scales are so unbalanced, and that Libran energy is so indecisive and so uncertain that it can spiral and really take us down a dark and negative path that we really don't want to go down, but we will likely take a gentle stroll down because of the full moon energy pushing us into the darker energies. The moon in Aquarius goes ahead and semi-sextiles Neptune. And I hate to tell you, but we are going to be tested outside in our external realm by a certain trigger that is going to push us to our limit. Again, we're in the full moon energy where we are tested, where we do have to sit in those negative emotions in order to figure out what it is that we no longer want to experience. And of course, in turn, come up with a framework on new intentions, new ways of doing things in order to create a new system, a new scenario, a new emotion. So this particular energy is going to test us, and it's going to test us in such a way that we're already detached. We're already kind of disassociated. We're already hella confused and overwhelmed with our thoughts, with our feelings. And now this is just going to add to the emotional sensitivity that we're currently under. We're going to have a hard time attaching to our higher self, to our intuition to calm us down. And so what happens is that we want to run. We want to escape. We don't want to deal with our reality, with the truth, with the situation. We just want to zone out into la la land. Venus in Libra comes back into play and trines the true node. Now, this is actually a good energy between Venus and the true node because the true node is trying to remind us what it is we want for ourselves, the image, the dream, the vision that we're working towards. So what does this mean? It means that Venus in Libra is like, oh yeah, I forgot what I was fighting for. I forgot the peace and the harmony and the contentment that I feel when I imagine and envision myself living this new reality. And what happens here is that there's an aha moment on what needs to happen in our present day, especially where relationships are concerned, especially where our heart space is concerned, what it is that we can do today to align with the vision and the dream that we've just been reminded of. What happens is that because we're in the full moon, because we're being triggered, what this does is it activates our heart chakra, can break us down so that we have a breakthrough. And right now, Venus in Libra recognizes that our relationships aren't really where it is that we want them to be. It's not really balanced. It's not a fair energy exchange. We want better. We want to grow. We want to expand. We want to love. We want to connect, which means that we have some work to do in our relationships. But what is the most beautiful thing is that we just answered a couple of questions that we were overwhelmed with earlier. What do we need emotionally? We need connection. We need intimacy. We need to feel safe. We need to feel secure. We need to feel loved. What are we going to do that? Well, we're going to have to express ourselves. We're going to have to kind of really draw a new line in the sand on kind of expressing what we want to see happen in our personal relationships and see what the other person has to say about it. This is a trigger point of evolvement in our personal relationships where we deem them to be of worth and of value. And of course, the relationships that we want to see be strong and stable in the futuristic vision that we are now trying to bring to life. The moon in Aquarius goes ahead and bumps into Pluto. And honestly, this is a beautiful, beautiful aspect, even though it's not going to feel good at the beginning. And again, we're in the full moon window, so we're not supposed to be feeling good. But here's the thing. Pluto, the ruler of the underworld, really pushing us into the darkest parts of ourselves to face our fears, to face our insecurities, our vulnerabilities. He wants us to bring up the pain, to bring up the trauma, to bring up the rejection, to bring up the abandonment that we have felt in our lives. Why? Because Venus and Libra just figured out what we need from our relationships, and now we're scared as hell to put ourselves out there and ask for it because we might get rejected, or the person might not feel the same, or they might not feel that we are worthy enough to kind of push through the growing pains of the relationship to come up with the vision and the dream that we now have for ourselves and for these people. And so Pluto really wants us to sit in the darkness because, again, that's what the full moon is all about. But now, because of the moon in Aquarius being so emotionally detached, having that higher intelligence octave, that bigger vision forward, what we're able to do with this particular energy is, acknowledge the fear. Stand in the insecurities. Think about how awful it would be if we're rejected or abandoned in our efforts to really truly connect with the people that we love. And then we're going to use those negative emotions as a foundation, as a fuel, as a catalyst in order for us to empower ourselves to go after what it is that we want. This whole energy with Pluto is about recognizing where our pain is our greatest source of power, where our darkness is the path to the light, where our trauma is the course to finding peace and harmony and healing. And in order to do that, we have to visit those dark parts of ourselves. We have to face them. We can't run from them. We can't suppress them. We have to look those dark parts right in our eyes. And you can do so by starting some mirror work and being able to look at yourself in your eyes for 15 seconds at a time. Doesn't sound like a big deal, but I challenge you to go stand in the mirror right now and look at yourself, look in your soul, and see how long you can look in your eyes without invoking an emotion and without turning away. This is how we learn to love ourselves. And under this full moon energy, because this is the full moon Aquarius energy, asking us to detach from what it is that we're no longer attached to, connected to, or wanting to be in alignment with, you best believe that we do not want to sit in pain, sit in trauma, sit in rejection, sit in abandonment, sit in fear. any freaking longer. So I invite you and encourage you to embrace every dark thought, every dark emotion. Sit in it, accept it, acknowledge it, and then make the decision to turn it into your fuel, into the catalyst that you need in order to alchemize that dark energy and turn it into light and turn it into love.